If I asked you what it takes to build generational wealth, what would you say? Endless hustle, relentless networking, the perfect business idea. You have been lied to. Society teaches you to burn yourself out chasing money. This is exactly why millions of men work themselves into an early grave and still die broke. The titans of industry knew a secret that the masses refused to believe. They knew that wealth is not chased. Wealth is magnetized. It is the natural byproduct of a mind operating on a specific frequency. Before we dive deeper, I want to plant a seed in your mind. There is something hidden from the public. It is something discovered not in a motivational book, but inside a classified laboratory. It is a biological secret funded by elite billionaires and verified by top-tier neuroscience. It finally explains something I know you have felt. It explains the frustrating gap between the wealth you visualize and the reality you wake up to. I will reveal exactly what this is before we finish today. But first, you must understand why the financial deck was stacked against you from birth. So hold this question in your mind. What if your struggle to attract abundance is not a lack of hustle, but a dormant frequency waiting to be switched on? You are tired in a way that sleep does not fix. And that is the most important sentence you will hear today. Most men will spend their entire lives never understanding what that tiredness actually means. You work hard, you read the books, you set the goals, you put in the hours while the rest of the world sleeps. And yet, the breakthrough you were promised never seems to arrive. It feels as though you are driving with the emergency brake pulled tight. I am here to tell you that this is not a lack of effort. You do not have a motivation problem. You have a programming problem. Deep within the architecture of your subconscious mind, there is an outdated script running on a loop. It is quietly sabotaging every conscious step you take toward wealth and peace. Until you rewrite that script, every empire you try to build will collapse under the weight of your unseen fears. You are fighting an invisible enemy. There are two kinds of men in this world: the consumer, who lets society dictate his fate, and the creator, who forces reality to bend to his will. You are watching this because you belong to the latter. You have felt the call to greatness, but perhaps you do not yet know how to structure it. The drifter believes his bank account is a result of the economy or bad luck. The creator knows better. The creator knows that you do not get what you want in this life. You get what you are. And until you elevate the energetic signature of your dominant thoughts, no amount of physical labor will make you rich. The universe works by law and not by clock. Every thought is a seed, every action is water, and your reality is the harvest. But your soil has been poisoned since the day you were born. Society programmed you to be a worker and not a sovereign commander. They taught you to trade your life force for a paycheck. They told you that suffering is noble and that wealth requires decades of painful sacrifice. This is the grand illusion. The elite do not suffer to acquire their empires. They do not exhaust themselves in the trenches of hustle culture. They operate from a place of absolute cold calmness. Here is the brutal truth the elite do not want you to know. The reason the universe responds to the 1% and leaves the rest of the world struggling is not because they work harder than you. It is not because they visualize better. And it certainly is not because they have stronger discipline. It is entirely biological. Deep inside your brain is a tiny region called the hippocampus. In the insanely wealthy, this region is thick and highly developed. It is constantly broadcasting a microscopic frequency that literally pulls money and opportunities toward them like a vacuum. But for the average person, the reality is much darker. Because you were not born into an 8-figure family, you inherited a biological disadvantage. Science calls it a shrunken hippocampus. Instead of broadcasting a wealth frequency, your brain is trapped broadcasting a survival wave, and the modern world is completely designed to keep it exactly that way. Endless stacks of bills and exhausting hustle culture feed this state. Constant financial anxiety makes sure your brain remains locked in survival mode. Every time you stress over money, this tiny region shrinks a little more. Your natural and God-given ability to attract abundance is pushed deeper and deeper into dormancy. This is exactly why you can read every self-help book and practice the law of attraction for years with zero results. You are trying to manifest wealth while your internal receiver is completely powered down. You end up chasing money endlessly while the elite simply let it flow to them effortlessly. It is a biological block passed down from generation to generation. It is quietly sabotaging your highest potential while you blame yourself for not working hard enough. Most people will go to their graves believing they just did not work hard enough. But you are not most people. You are the architect of your destiny. And remember the question I asked you to hold a few minutes ago. I asked you if your struggle was just a dormant frequency waiting to be switched on. You are about to see that the answer is not only scientifically proven, it is closer than you could ever imagine. But to break this curse, we must first look at how the drifter operates. We must understand the invisible prison that keeps 99% of men completely paralyzed. Stop what you are doing and listen. Truly listen, because the next few minutes will determine whether you spend the rest of your life as a drifter or as a king. Chaos in the mind breeds chaos in the bank account. But the moment you bring your attention under strict order, the world steps aside and bows to your direction. The Creator does not hope for a better life. He commands it into existence. Let us begin. Principle 1. The universe works by law and not by clock. You have been waiting for the right time. But time does not produce wealth. Time only produces age. Wealth is the inevitable result of a mind aligned with the law of cause and effect. Your thoughts are the cause. Your financial reality is simply the effect. This brings us to the ultimate divide among men. It is the silent gap between the drifter and the Creator. The drifter is a leaf blowing in the wind of circumstance. He wakes up and immediately checks his phone to let the world dictate his mood. He reacts to the news. He complains about the economy. He waits for a better future while planting seeds of absolute fear. But here is the truth that no one will tell you. Drifting is the ultimate enemy. The drifter believes he is playing it safe by avoiding hard choices. He thinks that by not deciding, he is protecting himself from failure. But a wrong decision is always better than no decision, because when you refuse to decide, you hand the keys of your mind over to the masses. The Creator operates on a completely different frequency. The consumer waits, consumes, and reacts. But the Creator decides, initiates, and leads. He understands that his mind is a sacred fortress. He is the sovereign commander of his thoughts. He does not allow the anxieties of the external world to cross the gates of his mental architecture. He stands absolute guard. You think you are losing your mind because you no longer relate to your old friends. You feel a strange distance growing between you and the people you have known for years. Their conversations about petty drama and financial complaints start to physically exhaust you. You wonder if you are becoming cold or arrogant. But here is the truth no one tells you. You are not losing your mind. You are losing your programming. As you step into the identity of the Creator, your frequency shifts. You can no longer tolerate the vibration of the drifter. This isolation is not a punishment from the universe. It is a cosmic housekeeping designed to protect your new energy. You must accept this silent season of separation without guilt. Now, let me make this plain. Your subconscious mind is a tireless contractor. It does not judge the instructions you give it. It simply builds exactly what you instruct it to before sleep. If you fall asleep worrying about debt, your subconscious spends the next 8 hours building a reality of scarcity. It constructs the very walls of your financial prison while you rest. You are literally commissioning your own failure. But the opposite is also true. When the architect of destiny falls asleep with a clear vision of abundance, the contractor goes to work on building an empire. This is not some magical philosophy. This is the biological and psychological law of human achievement. The mind cannot tell the difference between a real event and an imagined one. Once you grasp this mechanism, everything changes. You stop praying for a lucky break. You realize that luck is just the drifter's word for alignment. Wealth is not chased. Wealth is magnetized. And you magnetize it by holding a dominant thought of prosperity so fiercely that your brain physically rewires itself to find it. You become a living magnet for high-status opportunities. But with this power comes absolute accountability. You can no longer blame your boss or your parents for your empty bank account. You must look in the mirror and accept that your current reality was built by your past thoughts. This realization crushes the weak, but it liberates the strong. Because if your thoughts created this mess, your thoughts can absolutely dismantle it. Let us dive deeper into the illusion of circumstance. The drifter looks at his empty bank account and believes the account is the problem. He thinks he needs more money to feel secure. He works extra shifts and burns his physical energy to the ground. But his internal frequency remains locked on poverty. He is trying to change the reflection in the mirror by scrubbing the glass. You cannot change the reflection without changing the source. The world is nothing but a giant mirror reflecting your dominant mental state. When you operate from a state of lack, the universe sends you more bills, more unexpected expenses, and more reasons to panic. It is simply obeying your command. You asked for struggle through your anxiety, and the law delivered it perfectly. The sovereign commander understands this flawless system. He does not panic when the bank account is low. He maintains a state of cold calmness. He acts as if the wealth is already secured. This is not a delusion, but a strict command to his subconscious. He walks, speaks, and makes decisions from the identity of a king. He refuses to let a temporary lack of funds dictate his internal posture. This is how you master your fate. You must stop reacting to your environment and start forcing your environment to react to you. The drifter lets the weather ruin his day. The creator decides his internal weather before his feet even touch the floor. This level of mental dominion is rare. It requires a ruthless standard that 99% of men are too lazy to uphold. They would rather sit in the comfort of their misery than do the grueling work of guarding their thoughts. But you are the 1%. You are the mental gatekeeper. Every time a thought of fear tries to enter your mind, you must stop it at the gate. You interrogate it. You deny it access to your emotional reserves. You replace it with a decree of absolute certainty and power. This level of discipline is not easy. It is simple, but it is brutally demanding. And this is exactly why so many men fail. They understand the theory, but their biological hardware is working against them. Remember the shrunken hippocampus we discussed earlier? Your survival wave is constantly fighting your conscious desires. It is a biological tug of war inside your skull. You can declare that you are a billionaire all day long, but if your brain is stuck broadcasting a frequency of fear, your words will bounce off the ceiling. To truly execute this law, you need more than just positive thinking. You need to understand how the greatest minds in history bypassed this biological limitation. Let us look to the evidence of the titans who came before us. How did a man with no education and no money build the largest steel empire in history? Andrew Carnegie did not rely on luck, and he did not simply work longer hours than his competitors. He used a specific mental protocol that you can replicate tonight. He understood that his mind was a broadcasting station, and he tuned his frequency to absolute power. Let us look to the example of Thomas Edison. He failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, but he never viewed those failures as a reason to panic. He maintained a state of absolute certainty. He treated his subconscious like a tireless contractor. Before he slept, he commanded his mind to find the solution, and his brain delivered it perfectly. These titans did not have magical powers. They possessed a biological advantage that modern science has only recently begun to understand. This is where modern neuroscience meets timeless wisdom. For decades, researchers wondered why some men effortlessly attract wealth while others struggle endlessly. The answer lies deep inside your physical brain anatomy. We must return to the hippocampus, because clinical brain scans have recently revealed a staggering truth. Wealthy people have a larger and highly developed hippocampus. This tiny region of the brain is constantly active in the elite. It generates a microscopic energy wave that literally pulls lucrative synchronicities into their path. It makes them a magnetic force. But the average man operates with a shrunken hippocampus. Decades of chronic stress and overwhelming responsibilities have battered this vital organ. The relentless daily grind keeps you trapped in survival mode, and it blocks your natural ability to attract abundance. When this optimal brainwave is blocked, your personal and financial progress completely stagnates. Your ambition simply feels exhausting. Your natural ability to attract wealth shuts down, and you end up relying on sheer willpower to survive. But you cannot outwill a misprogrammed mind. You must recode it. The elite billionaires of this world know this secret. They quietly fund elite mastermind retreats to activate this exact brainwave, and they pay massive fortunes to keep it hidden. Before we go any further, I have to share a breakthrough that changes everything. It is something the elite billionaires have spent vast fortunes to keep hidden from the public. A rogue neuroscientist recently leaked a shocking discovery. He formerly worked on highly classified CIA experiments. He and a team of top-tier researchers found a way to wake up that frequency. They found a way to rapidly reverse the effects of a shrunken hippocampus. And they did not do it through decades of exhausting meditation or relentless journaling. They did not tell you to wake up at 4 in the morning to force a hustle mindset. They discovered something infinitely simpler and far more powerful. It is a precise and perfectly engineered sound frequency. When listened to, this specific acoustic wave bypasses your conscious mind and directly stimulates that tiny region of your brain. 4 independent neuroscience labs have already verified it. Researchers on the campuses of Harvard and Yale are observing this exact brainwave activation right now. Once this frequency is heard, it forces the brain to stop broadcasting fear. It immediately flips the switch on your natural biological ability to attract wealth. It is a completely effortless ritual you do at home. Just 7 minutes a day begins the energetic shift the very first time you listen. I will tell you exactly what this is called before this message ends. I will show you how you can access this exact frequency for yourself. But first, there is one final piece of the puzzle you must understand. You must realize why the law of attraction has been failing you all these years. You have read the books, and you have tried to think and grow rich, but manifestation requires a biological receiver. You cannot attract abundance while your brain is trapped broadcasting a survival wave. This is why positive affirmations feel like a lie when you say them. Your conscious mind is reciting words of wealth, but your subconscious is vibrating with the terror of unpaid bills. The contractor is ignoring your words because the blueprint of your emotion is fear. You must align the biological hardware with your spiritual desires. This is the secret the elite billionaires pay lawyers to hide. They want you to keep grinding in the physical world, and they want you to trade your precious life force for a paycheck. Because as long as you are exhausted, your hippocampus remains shrunken. As long as you are stressed, you remain a docile consumer. You never step into the role of the creator. The creator understands that his true power lies in the invisible realm. He knows that every massive physical empire was first built in the quiet theater of the mind. The steel mills of Carnegie and the assembly lines of Ford were born from an absolute mental command. They did not beg the universe for favor. They demanded it through their focused vibration. This is not a coincidence, because this is synchronicity in action. The universe always honors the strongest vibration. If you want to break the financial curse of your family, you must become the strongest vibration in the room. You must cultivate a cold calmness that terrifies the average man. You must act as if the wealth is already yours. But how do you actually achieve this state? How do you command your mind to stop worrying and start building? You cannot just wish for a better mindset, because you need a structured protocol. You need a daily tradition that forces your brain into alignment. The drifter relies on random bursts of motivation. The architect of destiny relies on a rigid mental ritual. We are about to transition from theory into execution. Now we are getting close to the thing you can actually do. You now understand the law of the mind, and you have seen the biological evidence of the shrunken hippocampus. You know that a hidden acoustic mechanism exists to repair it. But knowing the truth is not enough to change your life. You must apply the truth. Application is the only thing that separates the dreamer from the master. In the next chapter, I am going to outline the exact practice you must adopt. I will give you the ritual of the Creator. It will require discipline, and it will demand your absolute focus, but it will finally align your mind with the wealth you deserve. Let us proceed. So, how do you begin this transformation? You now understand that your mind is broadcasting a survival wave. You know that a misprogrammed subconscious will destroy every conscious effort you make because it overrides your desires with deep biological fear. But theory without execution is just entertainment. The drifter watches this and goes back to sleep. The creator watches this and immediately alters his reality. We must now establish your daily ritual. The first step is not adding something new to your life. The first step is absolute elimination. We call this cosmic housekeeping. You cannot tune your mind to the frequency of wealth while you are drowning in the noise of the masses. The news, the pointless drama, and the endless scrolling are all designed to keep you terrified, and they quietly feed your survival wave every single day. I command you to cut the cord right now. If a relationship or a habit lowers your frequency, you must ruthlessly eliminate it. You are the mental gatekeeper of your fortress. Do not apologize for protecting your energy, because this requires a cold calmness that will easily offend average people. Let them be offended while you build your empire in silence. Once the noise is cleared, you must establish your definite chief aim. A ship without a destination will inevitably drift into the rocks. You cannot ask the universe for a better life, but rather you must demand a specific reality. The subconscious contractor needs a precise blueprint to build your empire while you sleep. Vague desires will only produce chaotic results in your life. Write your definite chief aim down tonight. Do not type it on a screen. Write it with a pen so the physical action anchors it into your nervous system. State exactly what you demand from this life, and state exactly what you are willing to give in return. The universe requires an energetic exchange for every massive reward it delivers. Read this aim aloud every single morning. Let the vibration of your own voice rewire your mind. Do not whisper it like a beggar, but speak it loudly like a sovereign commander. Say it until your physical body believes the words are absolute truth. You are commanding your reality to bend to your disciplined will, and this becomes the daily anchor of your new identity. But here is where the battle truly begins. When you speak your definite chief aim, your survival wave will fight back, and your shrunken hippocampus will generate feelings of deep fear and crushing doubt. Your old programming will tell you that you are a fraud. This is exactly where the masses surrender and return to their comfortable misery. You must push through the resistance. To bypass this biological resistance, you must master the night ritual. The 15 minutes before you fall asleep are the most critical moments of your life, because this is when the conscious gatekeeper steps aside and the subconscious contractor takes over. If you fall asleep watching the news, you are commissioning a nightmare. You must guard this window with your life. Turn off every screen 1 hour before bed. Sit in complete silence and breathe deeply. Focus entirely on the exact reality you want to manifest. Do not think about the mounting bills or the stressful emails waiting for you tomorrow. Give your subconscious mind a blueprint of absolute victory, because it will spend the next 8 hours building whatever you hand it. Close your eyes right now and practice this state. Imagine the feeling of total financial independence. Feel the heavy burden of debt lifting completely off your shoulders. Hold that feeling until it replaces the anxiety in your chest, and this is the exact state you must enter before you sleep every single night. You are programming your mind to expect effortless abundance. When you wake up, you must implement the next law of the Creator, which means you must act as if. You walk out of your bedroom as if the wealth is already secured in your account. You speak to people with the quiet confidence of a billionaire. Even if your current reality is completely chaotic, your internal posture must remain absolutely unshaken. The drifter lets his empty bank account ruin his posture. He walks with his shoulders slumped and his head down. He broadcasts defeat to every person he meets. But the architect of destiny understands that his current bank account is just old data, while knowing it is a reflection of his past thoughts that has no power over his future. You must maintain cold calmness in the face of every adversity. When a client cancels or an unexpected bill arrives, you do not panic. Panic is the reaction of a victim. You observe the problem without emotional attachment, and you treat failure as simple data to adjust your strategy. This emotional control is what separates the 1% from the exhausted masses. Say this aloud right now. I am the master of my focus. Say it again with absolute power. You must realize that your focus is your most valuable asset. The elite billionaires guard their focus fiercely because they know it creates their wealth. You must stop giving your focus away to cheap entertainment so that you can reclaim your mental dominion today. This is not a temporary experiment. This is a permanent rewiring of your entire existence. You are transforming your mind into an impenetrable fortress. The survival wave will constantly fight to pull you back into the chaos of the drifter, and it will use your old habits to sabotage your new discipline. You must be ruthless in your daily practice. Tomorrow morning will be your first real test, because you will wake up and the heavy weight of your old life will crash down on your chest. The urge to check your phone and consume negative news will be incredibly strong. That is the exact moment you must make a choice. Will you surrender to the survival wave, or will you execute the ritual of the Creator? You now know the daily mechanism. You know how to clear the noise and command your subconscious contractor. The drifter will ignore this protocol because it requires actual discipline, while the master will use it tonight to begin rewriting his reality. But this mental practice alone is only half of the equation. We must now address the biological activation. Now comes the turning point. You have heard the law. You now know that every excuse you have ever made was nothing but a shadow. You are one decision away from momentum. You are one belief away from clarity. And you are one mental shift away from a completely new life. But that shift will not happen unless you make it happen. I invite you to make a decision right now. The time for drifting is over. You must say to yourself that there will be no more small thinking. There will be no more playing the victim to circumstances. No more letting fear write the script of your life. That chapter is over. You did not come to this message by accident. You came here because you are exhausted by the endless hustle that produces nothing. Remember the question I asked you to hold at the very beginning of this message. What if your financial struggle is not a lack of hustle, but a dormant frequency? Here is the final answer. A microscopic wealth attraction frequency is naturally active in the 1%. It is driven by a highly developed region of the brain called the hippocampus. Classified CIA research confirmed it. 4 independent neuroscience labs verified it. Researchers on the campuses of Harvard and Yale are observing it right now. Dr. Thomas Summers is a rogue neuroscientist who formerly worked on these top-secret experiments. He refused to let elite billionaires keep this biological cheat code hidden from the middle class. He and his team spent years compressing the clinical protocol for hippocampus growth into a simple audio track. But before I tell you what they built, let me tell you about 2 people who used it. Emma was a former nurse from California who felt her family was under a financial curse. She was exhausted and drowning in heavy debt. After just 3 days of listening, she broke the cycle completely. She quit her job and sold her house for way over the asking price. Now she travels the world on passive income and shares this abundance with her children. Michael was a former policeman in Florida. He started using it to scale his struggling business, and his results were absolutely staggering. Within 5 days, He quadrupled his high-paying clients. He found himself networking with elites who put him on television, and he said the journey was almost effortlessly crazy. That is because of what Dr. Summers and his researchers discovered. They call it the billionaire brainwave. It is not a generic motivation tape or a manifestation app. It is a highly engineered 7-minute binaural sound wave designed to directly stimulate your hippocampus. It pulls your wealth receiver out of deep dormancy. That is the entirety of the work required. 7 minutes in the morning with your headphones on and your eyes closed. You do not journal. You simply let the precise frequency rewire your brain to receive. The billionaire brainwave is not for everyone. It is for the visionary who has read the books and done the inner work. It is for the creator who understands that their lack of wealth is a blocked biological channel. Private neuroacoustic sessions to reverse a shrunken hippocampus cost hundreds of dollars per hour. Elite billionaires invest massive fortunes for this. What Dr. Summers leaked to the public delivers the exact same neurological shift in 7 minutes. It is available to you today for a tiny fraction of its true value. It requires less than the cost of a few cups of coffee. And 4 powerful bonuses are included to support your new reality. The first is a guide to managing wealth called the Warren Buffett Pyramid. The second is a breakdown of 7 lazy millionaire habits. You also receive an emergency quick cash manifestation audio. And finally, you get an inspiring collection of 500 billionaire success stories to keep your mind anchored. Here is the deeper truth about waiting. The immense wealth you have been praying for is already circling you right now. The blessing is not missing. Your receiver is simply broken. The chosen one who restores their frequency today finally sees the financial windfalls that were always waiting in their path. Delaying means letting your inheritance remain invisible. Do not look for this on YouTube or Spotify. The tracks circulating on those platforms have zero binaural entrainment technology. They are dangerous fakes meant to distract you. The only authentic and neurologically active version is available through the official portal. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment below. This comes with the billionaire's ironclad promise. The universe requires no financial risk from you to claim your ultimate birthright today. If you do not experience a physical and undeniable increase in your wealth and luck, every penny is returned. It is an energetic exchange governed by complete trust. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment below. The tool does not replace your ambition or your purpose. It simply repairs your biological receiver so your ambition can manifest. Abundance is your birthright. What the researchers built is just one accelerator. Whether you choose that path or not, let us go deeper into preparing your mind for the massive opportunities ahead. If your intuition confirms that the frequency tool described earlier is the missing key to your abundance, the path remains open in the description below. That is the last time it will be mentioned. What follows now belongs entirely to the sealing of your new mindset. Tonight, as you close your eyes, you must make a choice. Will you return to the chaos of the masses, or will you step into the quiet power of the 1%? If you are ready to command your destiny, seal your decision right now. Write your definite purpose in the comments below. Let those words be the absolute contract you sign with the universe. Subscribe to this channel if you walk this path, and return to this video every night until your reality bends to your will. Stand up. Claim your throne. You are the architect of your reality, and the world has no choice but to bow.